Don't settle down and sit in one place. Move around, be nomadic, make each day a new horizon. Krakauer was born on April 12, 1954 in Brookline, Massachusetts. He was exposed to nature and adventure at a very young age. At the age of 2, Krakauer and his family moved to Corvallis, Oregon, where his father introduced him into mountain climbing. He pursued his interest in mountaineering by spending 3 weeks in Alaska's wilderness. During this time, he single-handedly maneuvered a new route to Devil's Thumb. Krakauer graduated from Hampshire College in 1976, where he received his degree in environmental studies. In order to support himself and his adventures, he worked as a carpenter. Later on, a friend recommended taking on freelance writing. In 1983, his freelancing paid off and he landed a job with Outside Magazine as a journalist.
In 1996, Krakauer was assigned to write an article about the commercialization of Mount Everest. The original assignment was to stay in and observe the base camp. In order to write a better article, he decided to go above and beyond what his editor wanted him to do. Krakauer wanted to climb not only to the base camp, but also all the way to the summit of Mount Everest, an expedition where many lives were lost prior to his climb. On the day of the attempt to reach the summit, an awful storm blew in and claimed 5 lives. While Krakauer was not one of them, his guilt pushed him to expand and correct the article published in Outside Magazine. His revision then led to the creation of Into Thin Air. Into Thin Air has received a number of awards, such as the Pulitzer Prize for General Nonfiction and the National Book Critics Circle Award.
Chloe Johnson reports in Fresh Air Fort Collins that Jon Krakauer's novel Into Thin Air is a novel. She feels that in general, Krakauer has a knack for storytelling. However, in Into Thin Air, storytelling isn't exactly appropriate in retelling the tale involving multiple deaths. She also mentions that she feels that his self-description about climbing the Devil's Thumb was tooting his own horn and thought that it was pompous of him to devote a whole chapter to his accomplishments.
Similar to Into Thin Air, Into the Wild started as an article for Outside Magazine. Krakauer spent a total of 3 years researching about Chris McCandless's life. Krakauer mentioned in an interview that there was a point where he became obsessed with the topic. After publishing his original article in Outside Magazine, he continued gathering information and published Into the Wild in 1996. Into the Wild is about a man named Chris McCandless who donated $25,000 worth of his life savings to charity. He abandons his friends, family, his car, and the life accepted by society in order to backpack around North America.
Under the Banner of Heaven, A Story of Violent Faith is one of Krakauer's more recent books. It was published in 2003. The book is an investigative narrative comparing the origin of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints with the Laverty murder case of 1984. Under the Banner of Heaven received lots of criticism from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Leaders of the church argued that he brought up points about the religion that were no longer relevant and that he rushed points to prove his hypothesis.
Krakauer published Where Men Win Glory in 2009. Where Men Win Glory is a biography of Pat Tillman, a man who turned down a multi-million-dollar NFL contract to enlist in the Army after 9/11. He felt that it was his duty to fight against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. After 2 years of service, Pat Tillman was killed by his own platoon after they accidentally fired fatal shots. The Army then tried to hide the true story from Tillman's wife and family.
3 Cups of Deceit is a book written in response to another book called 3 Cups of Tea by Greg Mortensen. In 3 Cups of Tea, Mortensen claims to transform from a registered nurse and experienced mountain climber to a selfless humanitarian devoted to helping young girls in Pakistan and Afghanistan, even education. He is the co-founder of the charity Central Asia Institute, or CAI, which claims to be a non-profit organization who has raised enough money to build 171 schools. 3 Cups of Deceit, written by Jon Krakauer and published in 2011, argues that Mortensen is not who he seems to be and has mishandled the funds raised for the CAI. Publishers Weekly describes it as packed with interviews and anecdotes that undercut Mortensen's image as a cheerful do-gooder. Krakauer's account of good intentions gone horribly wrong is a stunning example of investigative journalism.
Just this past week, on April 21st, Jon Krakauer's newest book was released, titled Missoula: Rape in the Justice System in a College Town. In this book, Krakauer narrates about a series of sexual assaults that have occurred at the University of Montana. He discusses the experiences of several women who live in Missoula. He goes through the nights they were raped, the aftermath, and how the police and college handled the situation. The New York Times says that Krakauer's reporting leads him to the conclusion that as flawed as university processes may be, they are better than what the criminal justice system often has to offer rape survivors.